The gavel this unruly crowd to order here. 7:30 p.m. I'd like to call the mayor and council meeting to order. Our first order of business on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the mayor and council meeting of October 2nd, 2017.
I would move that we accept the meetings as submitted for the mayor and council meeting for October the 2nd, 2017.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show we unanimously approve the minutes. Operating funds on hand. Total operating cash on hand for unrestricted use is $1,839,078.08.
Hooray.
So somebody cut us a big old check.
Well, somebody paid their taxes, don't they?
That's a lot of taxes. Also in our Broadreach PNC checking balance for the sculpture, we have an outstanding balance there of $11,606.69. And lastly, in addition to the $1.8 million, we have two reimbursement requests to the Waterway Improvement Fund grant program. Excuse me, one for $5,808, one for $22,289. So we have those two outstanding requests owed to us of $28,097.
What's going to happen to the Broadreach money?
That's a good question. I'm hoping that that's probably been spent on sod and other things.
I think there's a lot of bills outstanding because the sod was only done a few days ago, and they're talking about a plaque with major donors'
I
names
see.
and.
So we're going to spend it down then?
I think that'll be.
Yeah, I think this probably came out before some of those bills.
Yeah.
Went in. Which brings us to item 3, which is payment of the bills.
I move to pay the bills.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show we unanimously agree to pay the bills, which brings us to item 4, police report, Chief Adrian Baker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would like to present the September 2017 report, and then at the conclusion, I'd like to ask Officer Peel to come forward, and we're going to recognize him for his achieving his officer first class status. And I might remind you, we were trying to get statistics on all the officers, all 14. Officer Peel was away at training for the entire month for the military, so it was 13 officers this time. So we're almost there. Next one, we should have all 14. Okay?
First time in my
Yes, ma'am.
tenure on council, I think.
Yeah, we gotta send you out on a happy note.
Great.
So we had 456 hours of administration, which has increased quite a bit because that now includes myself and the lieutenant. Criminal investigations, 27, accident, 13. Our vehicle patrol was 910 hours. Our foot patrol was 161, and we had 8%, which really is, 161 is a good bit of hours, but now that we have more people in the mix, it's going to be lower. Training was...
Why don't we have percentages like it all adds up to 100?
Okay.
Well, we don't capture every minute, but it's, I did have it up, and it was in the 90s.
We used to have criminal investigation with so much.
Yeah, I can put that back in there again.
I think it'd be
I
very
tried to
nice.
go all the way and get rid of them all, but we're gradually bringing them back again. So if that's what you want me to do, that's what I'll do.
It's because I complained because they weren't mathematically accurate.
What's that?
I complained because they weren't mathematically accurate.
Well, they're accurate with the figures that are in the
Yeah.
formula.
Well,
But anyway, for clarification, I will have the percentages next time, okay? All right, so we were at foot patrol. Training was 40 hours, court was 37, our overtime was 90 hours, 0.5, 90 and a half hours, and that was 4%. We made 15 adult arrests, and there were 20 separate charges. We had 3 each for an assault and an MDOP. We had 2 each for CDS, failure to obey a police officer, and theft, and 1 each for a deadly weapon, disorderly, an ex parte, FOA, FTA, resisting arrest, indecent exposure, and finally arson. We had 2 juvenile arrests. They were both for possession of tobacco underage. We had 14 Part 1 arrests. 14 offenses of Part 1. We cleared 4 by arrest, and we had 2, our Part 2 offenses, we had 24. We cleared 12 by arrest. Our motor vehicle. Yes, sir.
The four arrests in the Part 1, It's the smallest I can ever remember seeing. What, is there some particular problem?
There's still some that are ongoing, we haven't made the case yet. And again, I've pointed out before, we might have more next month because it catches up. We had 27 motor vehicle citations issued, 246 warnings issued, 301 red speed citations, and we had 2 civil citations, and they were for noise, both for parties.
College house,
Yes,
rental
yes,
houses?
2 separate ones.
Can you tell me roughly where they were? They're probably in the incident report.
Yes, it is, and I don't recall.
Okay.
To be honest with you, but I can find it.
But I know of a couple that are problematical this year.
Well, so far, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Let's see, we had 4% of our calls in Ward 1, 21 in 2, 21 in 3, and 26 in 4, and 3% were outside.
All right, stop right there.
Yes, sir.
It's the first time 4 has ever came in first. So I did a little research here,
Yes.
and 4 does not have Philosopher's Terrace. That's not in my, and it was included on my ward.
What?
So you have a new officer who's not sure the ward he's in.
Well, we've tried to check that, but I'll make sure that we...
All right, well, wait, I'm not finished there.
Yes, sir.
Washington Avenue only goes down to Campus Avenue. Everything west side of Washington Avenue belongs to Linda, not me.
Correct.
And one of them said Byford Court, and I don't know how you move Byford Court.
That's First Ward. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, yeah.
I thought maybe he made a new officer, and he thought everything over on that side of the road belonged to me.
Yes, sir. All right, well, we'll make sure that we...
I've never seen where I came in. That's someplace you don't want to come in first, is what it is.
I suppose, but, I mean, and you had presented a concern like 2 months ago, and I went back and looked at the incidents, as you can see them here, and it's a lot of the day-to-day commercial activity that, somebody in the McDonald's parking lot, or somebody,
I realize it. Some of
keys
those
locked in the
look
car.
like they might be college-related. Most of the college kids are on the other side of Washington Avenue, not on my side of it.
Right, but they do frequent the businesses, and that, I think, is where that happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that concludes the report, and if I may, I'd like to have Officer Peel come forward. And Mayor, would you mind?
Yeah.
helping with this, please? So Officer Peel has been with us for 2 years, and our requirement is to meet a proficiency standard, which he has, and complete 2 years of service, and then an officer is considered for promotion to first class. And he met those requirements with flying colors. You may recall, maybe about a couple months ago, he was in the paper, and it described his deployment, recent deployment, where he spent most of the time in Cuba. So we're happy to have him back with us, and as soon as he got back, then he had to go for another month of training, as I mentioned last month. So I hope he's going to stay with us for a little while here, and we hope he's going to stay for a long time, so we're going to try and bribe him with a couple stripes. So anyway, this is a certificate of promotion to first class, and if you would present that to him, and here are his first pair of stripes. And we'd like to congratulate you, and you do a great job. He comes to work with a great attitude every day, and he's one of our leading producers, so.
Yes, sir.
All right, so
Where
congratulations.
do you live?
Sir,
Where do you live? Your home?
in Baltimore, sir.
Wow.
Why would you want to live in Baltimore when you could live over here?
I'm trying.
He's commuting from Baltimore?
Yes,
I like
ma'am.
his answer too. He
Holy
just
cow.
laughed at
I hope
And
it's
I'd like
South
to thank
Baltimore.
everybody for giving me a chance to serve the community and the public.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I hope I do y'all proud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to town manager's report.
All right. For anybody that was here at 7 o'clock tonight, I apologize that we have rescheduled the public hearing for the annexation of the Lagoon property to November 6th at 7 p.m. It was to have been tonight at 7 p.m. An individual from the Department of State Planning went over the 4 advertisements in a row and counted up the days and said you don't have quite the number of days you need between the last publication of the notice to the public and the public hearing about it. Now, generally, these hearings are pretty much under-attended. This is not a big deal. This is something maybe we should have done as soon as Stepney Manor was annexed, to annex our own lagoon. But it's cleared all the waivers with the county, the critical areas, and the Department of State Planning. I sent our apologies back, but if you look at the resolution, you'll see there's, and you probably have, they have corrected ones, right, with the, or they got them in,
We got them 2 weeks ago.
you got them sent to you via mail.
I think
It showed
so.
the new date order and the public hearing after that, so
If not, I'll send them today.
maybe we'll have a largely populated hearing for that, but we'll be ready for it with the extra time. I have something else too that we have to do for the bond issue for the farmers, not the farmers, the USDA, sorry, still calling it farmers home. That $598,000 bond, we are closing in on having that bond issue launched. We have to have a public hearing on that in a few weeks, but we have to pass the ordinance. Tonight, I'm asking you to read or just look at this and introduce it for the sake of discussion. And I'll read just a little bit. This will be an ordinance authorizing and empowering the town of Chestertown to issue and sell from time to time, upon its full faith and credit, one or more series of general obligation bonds in an original aggregate principal amount not to exceed $598,000. Each series of bonds will be issued and sold for public purpose of financing, reimbursing, and refinancing costs incurred in connection with a project generally referred to by the town as the Chestertown Marina Stormwater Improvements. Now, for those of you who haven't been to one of our meetings before, a good deal of the money that goes into the marina is to raise the level of the land by approximately 2 feet. It's constantly flooded there. USDA has the program. We had this bond issue for $598,000. We get nearly an equal amount of grant money to perform this work. It's incredibly complicated because of all the underground work we have to do beforehand, but it's pretty well planned out, and we're on schedule to do this within this next coming year. So tonight would only be the introduction of that. The public and the press are welcome to have. These are exciting documents. If you've ever read one before, page after page of interesting material. But essentially, it's for what I said. It's to raise the land and to put the stormwater underground. We have a pretty unique system that we're using in our walkways, designed and I think invented by a Kent County individual. This is for our walkways, permeable. And so for tonight, I just asked you to introduce this. And we'll be back on November 6th to enact it. If you enact it, then it will become effective November 28th.
Do you need a motion?
I think it's always good to have a motion that we're introducing this tonight, just for the purposes of discussion.
Really? For this, just, okay.
We're just,
I move that we just introduce ordinance number 2-2017 for general obligation indebtedness for the Chestertown Marina stormwater improvements and other infrastructure improvements for consideration and a vote at our November 6th meeting.
And we're going to discuss it at that meeting time, right?
yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is the match going to come from the loan?
That comes from a grant from USDA. You have to borrow to get the grant.
Yeah, the money that we just borrowed from People's Bank.
No.
Is that,
Well, that's the temporarily.
That was the temporary
We use
fund.
that temporarily until the bond is passed.
Okay.
It takes a
Just
while.
bridge financing.
Next, Bob Ortiz, let's see, Don Cantor, who is the chairman of our Board of Election Supervisors, has had damage to his home in Florida from the last Hurricane Irma. And so he reluctantly has told the council that he can't serve. The ordinance or the charter says that the mayor will throw a name out and the council will approve it for a replacement of anybody on that board. Knowing that the mayor was running for office himself, I called Bob Ortiz and asked him if he would take this position, either temporarily or to fill out the unexpired term as chairman, because our election is just, weeks away. And he said he would. So hopefully I'm bringing it before the council, and I guess officially the mayor has to put the name into play. But I feel very lucky that we found somebody of his caliber to replace Don Cantor, who did a wonderful job.
He did, yeah.
And of course, I can't say that without saying that Jen does a wonderful job of training these people. It's not an extremely hard job, it's a responsible job. But you don't have to spend 12 hours at the poll. Our poll workers do that. But you do certify elections and whatnot count in. And the main thing is you have to be, above,
Approach.
yeah, exactly.
I was going to mention that. I don't know him personally, but I do know that since he's been in town, he and his wife have been very, very active, and not just the entertainment part of it, but as a civic person. So I think it would be a wise choice to have him go up.
So do I need to officially nominate him?
Well, you just now that they know you've suggested that, and you would vote on that replacement.
I move that we appoint Bob Ortiz to the Board of Supervisors of Elections to replace Don Cantor.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let the record show we unanimously approved the appointment of Robert Ortiz to the Board of Supervisors of Elections. I just signed that
And I have one more thing. Gus Leaguer, who lives in your ward, I think, Marty, donated 2 postcard-like paintings in the back that I hung. They're right by Chief. Very interesting old scenes of Chestertown. So I think Gus was once with our police department, so it's appropriate that I hung them right above Chief there. Also, his family is well-known in the community. That's all.
Okay, Mayor's report, I have 2 things, actually. One is Ken School proclamation. I got an email from Tricia Camerzel, who's one of the longtime staff members at Ken School. I believe her title is like Development Director. But Ken School was founded basically almost 50 years ago today. The date was October 27th, 1967, so they are about to commemorate their 50th year in a couple of weeks. So she asked if the town might be willing to consider a proclamation. I said, yeah, that sounds great. I know a lot of people around here that own businesses, and our educators have worked there. Now there's a lot of second, even third generation kids, or families have been sending their kids there for a number of years. So I'm going to read this proclamation, sign it, and then I will hand deliver it to the school, since my wife does actually work at the school. Town of Chestertown proclamation. Whereas on October 27th, 1967, the Kent School Association received its certificate of incorporation, and the newly formed Board of Trustees unanimously approved the appointment of their first headmistress, Joan C. Merrican. And whereas Kent School will become a vibrant, joyful, and nurturing community specializing in the education of girls and boys from preschool 3 through grade 8 on a unique estate-like campus located on the banks of the Chester River near historic Chestertown, Maryland. And whereas the headmaster, the teachers, staff, and the tranquility of the school setting created an ideal environment for the most transformative years of learning, where traditional values were respected while incorporating innovative and relevant opportunities for more challenging educational experiences. And whereas Kent School's original mission was to guide students in realizing their potential in the fields of academics, the arts, and athletics, and in developing the basic core values of integrity, respect, responsibility, and friendship, something that they've been now doing magnificently for 50 years. Be it therefore resolved that the Mayor and Council of Chestertown join Kent School in celebrating their Founders Day and their 50th anniversary of incorporation by proclaiming October 26, 2017 as Kent School Day in Chestertown, Maryland, thanking them for creating the opportunity for a lasting learning experience and a memorable setting. So it was very well written. I didn't write it. I wish I had. That was very well said. They've, 50 years, that's a long time for any school. My second order of business that isn't on the agenda is, I'm going to make sure I say this right, Ariana?
Yes.
Ariana Hall from Washington College. For the last several years, the college has kind of partnered with the town to do a rail trail cleanup. So I was hoping that maybe you might want to say just a few words about what you guys want to do, and we could talk about how the town can help out. And it's this coming Sunday, correct?
Yes, this
All right.
coming Sunday, we will be meeting at Dixon Valve at 1 o'clock. So in previous years, like it's really been like just the students. So this year I'm trying to make it more inclusive. Like I would love for more community members to come out and maybe the students. And I'm inviting the faculty and the staff to really. I'm just really encouraging like everyone's participation because I feel like it's really important for the campus to be more involved in the community and to recognize everything that you guys do for us because it is important. So I just I wanted this event to serve as an opportunity for us to all really come together to serve a greater purpose and help our community that we love so much.
I love it. And in past years, Bill, what have we supplied some trash bags?
Well, yeah, trash bags and gloves, and they place the bags at strategic spots, and we pick them up Monday morning and haul them away. And we may do a little pre-cleanup. I don't know how that last stretch that goes through the college, whether it's been mowed back or not. We had some large trees that were blown over, and we weren't able to mow them for fear of hitting pretty large objects, so we're trying to clean out those objects so we can really see the other smaller things we can get. So
I remember the first year, I participated when it really wasn't done by Washington College in the beginning, it was a group of citizens. We got 2 dump truck fulls out of there, but that was great big tires and beer bottles and cans that I hadn't seen for years and hadn't even been manufactured for years.
So the last couple of years, I mean, the turnout for that's been incredible. They've been like 100 students and faculty, and it's this Sunday at 1 o'clock. They generally meet at the parking lot of Dixon Valve. I'll be there in my pickup truck. Usually I kind of hang out and maybe greet the students, but really they do all the work and bring the truck. Last year, I think we had like 25 bags of trash, so they can put a lot of that in my truck. And I left it at the gates of our yard.
Perfect.
Unbeknown to Tom Sappington, he was not happy when he saw it.
Well, he had a little shock. He didn't know. He thought somebody.
So let this be a heads up to our own street crew that may be happening. But Bill and I can also talk about if you guys need trash bags or anything, let me know via email, and we can definitely hook you up with that and maybe give you a couple of points where the trash bags might be left if I can't fit everything in my truck. It's a big truck, though.
Yeah,
Monster truck.
Do you have anything else to add?
I just wanted to add too, if there are other places that we could clean or help out in future years to let us know because we want to do more. And my job as the Secretary of Service, I really want to push for us to do more for the community. So anything else that we can
Come downtown
be
and spend
helpful
money.
in besides how we can create the job, I serve, those are big things and important things, but other small things even, any ways that we can help out in the family-owned businesses or, just, regular coming up and raking leaves or shoveling snow, like,
Sure.
house cleanup, I don't know, anything.
All right, that's great. Thanks for the offer.
I have a quick question. Are you doing both forks of the rail trail?
Yes.
Okay, because I was going to say, there's a huge amount of trash, not all the way to the end by Royal Farms, but there's a lot of trash behind there. Just a little bit prior to that, on the left side, it's like somebody just
Had a
the
party.
dump truck.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got cases.
it's been there since last Thursday that I know of.
Case Demoy is in contact
Already
with the
working on it.
property owners about that. That was
Yeah.
a pretty sudden amount of trash.
Yeah.
Wow.
It appeared to me that it came from the house on the other side, because if you look, they had 3 or 4 bags already there and looked pretty
Yeah.
much the same, but, okay, good. If you do both, then thank you.
Thank you for that. We look forward to working with you guys on Sunday.
I wanted to ask Ariana.
Go ahead.
Ariana, are you limiting your volunteer work to cleanup or anything?
No, I would love to expand iServe actually, and these were ideas that I was talking about with the SGA. Coming into this position, I didn't know that we could expand iServe beyond just the trails, but now that I know that, hopefully I can pass on that information to whoever comes after me in this position, or just SGA and the college in general, so that they know there are other things that we can do the same day as iServe, along with the rail trail cleanup.
Well, I know that college is out before Memorial Day weekend, but we can use volunteers before Memorial Day weekend on the Tea Party Festival Committee, and we meet the first Wednesday of every month at 6:30 on the second floor of the Visitor Center, right here on the corner. And anybody who has any, we do marketing, anybody who has, good marketing skills and,
Social media skills.
yeah, social media, anything like that. We're in dire straits to put on the next Tea Party Festival.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go into board reports, starting with you, Mr. Stetson.
Okay, thank you. Since our last meeting, we had our Harry Potter Festival, or HP Festival, I guess. I posted on the internet. I don't know much about Harry Potter, but I sure know happy faces when I see them. And I was really, my wife and I both walked around town a little bit. It was really encouraging to see so many young kids. I mean, so many. I think we have more kids than we got school population, so they come from everywhere. And their parents, who also put on these clothing, and it's a hot day, so, but everybody seemed to be enjoying themselves. And we put on a number of festivals, but none of them really cater to the young people. And
That's right.
It really is a nice occasion for that. And then I went to the Broadreach this last weekend with a sculpture in Wilmer Park. It's the most impressive piece of art, probably it's the most impressive, well, I know it's the most impressive piece of art in Chestertown, because we don't have that much of it out where people can see it. But I want to suggest to the council that we may want to adopt the little rope that goes around there that keeps people off of that piece of art temporarily, because supposedly the grass is not connected. But I can't help but think, I know that the sculptor said you can climb on it and so forth, but I'm not sure it's such a great idea. It's almost like a lawsuit waiting to happen. And we have a playground within 75 yards of there, 100 yards, that kids can play on. And I just think it would be better to stop something before it happens than it is afterwards. Plus, that hill is going to be very inviting just to run up and down, run up and down. And I'll tell you what, grass doesn't hold up well if you run up and down. We could put it, the rope that's around here is now not unattractive, but we could put something a little nicer than that. Plus, in the summertime, when it gets 90 degrees, you can get third-degree burns off of a piece of polished stainless steel. And little kids are going to stick their hand on there and wish they had this. So I just think that maybe we should just leave that rope there or put something in. And finally, I want to say this. Both of those events came about in a very smooth manner, and a lot of it had to do with one of our own employees, and that's, I know I won't get her title right, it's Arts and Entertainment Director, Economic Director. What is your real title?
Economic Development Coordinator.
Oh, is that it?
Arts and Entertainment District.
Okay,
Thank you
well,
very much.
I didn't get it at all, did I? Well, not only did she help put everything together, but she emceed the dedication down there. And it really went off like something you would see in Hollywood on a presentation. So.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I really liked the fact that they had somebody go up there and dress up like, what's her name?
Hebe. She's around all the time.
It was really a very nice function, and Kay deserves a lot of credit for putting the work and time into that, so. And that has absolutely nothing to do with Ward 4, but I get to talk.
I'm glad you enjoyed Ward 2. I know.
Coached you again.
Ward 4's doing all right. We get little things to, most of the time I can talk to the chief or something and we get them handled out, so I'll let it go at that.
All right, Sam.
Well, I'm sorry to have missed the broad reach ribbon cutting, but it sounded like a great event, so great job, Kay. I know I really haven't presented too much on what's been happening in Ward 3 because, from everything that I know, all is well. And I like to think it's because I got really involved and helped to address everybody's problems, or maybe it's because they know that I'm not running for re-election, so I can't really do too much about it anymore. But I'm glad to see Brother Els Tolliver in the background, who is going to be my replacement. So, and I think uncontested, correct?
That's
so
correct.
he will be the next, knock on wood, the next councilman of Ward 3. So all is well in the ward, and I'm very happy about that.
Okay, Linda.
Well, the weekend of the HP Festival, the Historical Society had their 46th or 47th house tour, and this is saying a lot. We had 140 reservations. I didn't know anybody.
Wow.
But I always ask people where they came from, and Western Maryland. I mean, it was amazing. I talked to everybody. I met the new choir director for Emmanuel Church, and she bought a house on Cannon Street, and she said, I'd like to meet somebody who knows some history. I said, I live next door. What do you want to know? So anyway, I got to talk to her quite a bit, and I didn't know, and we had 15 houses on the tour, and 140 people came to Chestertown. I didn't know any of them. Okay, the next thing that's going to happen at the Kent County Arts Council on October 21st at 10 o'clock in the morning, there's an email that I got to stop by and be a part of the video for an anniversary message to the Maryland State Arts Council, and this is at 101 Spring Avenue, the new building. And then on November 4th, from 9 to 4:30, there will be teaching artist workshops that are free, but you need to RSVP for that to. It's Christine, CHRISTINE.Stewart, STEWART, and the number 1 at Maryland spelled out .gov. So, along with Broad Reach and now the events that are coming over here to the Arts Council. So, I think that's about it. Other than the farmer's market. I don't get
Bring up the dog park.
I don't get $1.
I did not mention the
I
dog
know
park,
you
so you
didn't.
shouldn't mention the farmer's market.
I don't get $1 this week.
Okay, Liz.
I did want to bring one thing to the attention of the First Ward residents. There has been a scam going around. A couple of men dressed in those fluorescent yellow vests, going door to door, saying that they're from Delmarva Power and that they need to come in to check the electrical panels. They went through Heron Point. Fortunately, nobody let them into their cottages. But Chief, apparently it was elsewhere in the neighborhood as well. And I just would like to tell residents they should demand to see identification. They can call Delmarva Power but they should not take it at face value when someone comes to your door and says they need to come into your house. Secondly, I also was at the Broadreach dedication. It was lovely to see a project like that come to completion. I think that the designer of the sculpture, Marty, knows what he's doing. It's not a polished surface on the metal. He's designed playscapes before.
Careful now, I'll take you down there in 90-degree weather and
Well,
stick your
might-
hand on it.
You might do that, we can break an egg down there, see if we can cook it. But he's designed playscapes before, and the whole concept of this was that it would be a playscape. And I'm only disappointed because we have a young family member arriving this week, and it's too early to let him play on it. And lastly, again, I'd love to congratulate everyone who was involved with the HP Festival. But I'm especially hoping that we can agree on council to find some way to recognize the efforts of Dr. Rachel Perry, who created the festival several years ago and has just announced that she is stepping down from what she call it, the magical world of wizardry or something like that. And that festival, I think, has grown beyond anything that anyone could have imagined. So I'll be in touch with all of you about that. And that's all I would like to say.
Well, it sounds like a lot of our festivals are having difficulties with continuing.
I don't know that the HP Festival is having difficulties continuing. They may be having growing pains.
Yeah.
But she, I think, her own children have left the nest, and I think she's a little bit, but it's being handed over to very capable people.
And I ran the Tea Party race for 20 years, but once I stopped running, you just don't have it's same way when your kids go. You're active when they're in Boy Scouts. By the way, we got a couple of Boy Scouts. Their dad's probably very active in it, but once they get out, it's hard to find people that keep their interest.
I forgot too that we'll have down rigging in the Halloween parade before our next meeting too, which is the weekend of October 28th. I was just wondering if we could advertise as a prerequisite to move into Chestertown that you have to commit to community service.
I think it's a great idea.
I forgot one thing also, that our next meeting is on the eve of our town election, which is a little late to remind people to think seriously about coming out to vote. So at this point, I'd like to remind people that the election is coming up, and especially in the first ward, where it turns out to be really important, please get out there and vote.
Okay, moving right along on the agenda, there were no requests from the public to be on the agenda. Are there any questions or comments tonight from the audience? Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
I'm Mary Celeste Alexander, and I live in the 100 block of North Green Street. And you're all talking about the HP Festival, which was phenomenal. But the people who live between High Street and Maple Avenue were actual prisoners in their house when it came to moving cars. We put out trash cans. I'm ready to go to Amazon.com and buy orange cones, because the town is doing nothing for us and none of the festival people are thinking about us. It's wonderful to have all these people in town, but when you're a virtual prisoner in your house, you can't leave with your car. It's not much fun.
Yeah.
So I'm asking the town to come up with a plan. You have a great plan for the festival every Memorial Day weekend.
Tea Party.
But no one else but all the other festivals that are going on thinks about anything about Queen Street. And we get all the traffic. If you ever did a traffic study over HP that day, you would have been amazed. Not only the traffic that goes the correct way, but the traffic that comes the wrong way. In fact, it got so bad that we were all sitting in our porches and laughing and go, we're not going to tell people stop because you're going the wrong way. We're going to just let them run into one another.
So
This goes on over and over again.
what specifically, what were like the major problems? Like
The major problem
volume,
is-
people going the wrong way?
The major problem is the number of people coming, and it was interesting when we had that truck overload in front of,
Yeah.
there was no traffic on Queen Street. And we're all going, what's going on? Because we didn't know. Obviously, all the people who come from Queen Anne's County turn left onto Queen Street because they don't want to go to the light. So we need somebody to block off Queen Street during these festivals so that at least we can continue to park our cars there, or we can leave and then come back.
So
Because
I'm still not clear. So the problem is just too much volume on Queen
there's
Street?
too much volume.
Too many people
And the
parking.
signs are so outdated that say resident parking only.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see them, they're faded, there are not enough of them.
So,
You need really good signage.
in addition to
that say-
volume, you had festival goers parking on your street and,
Taking over the whole street.
right.
So my neighbor across the street who was involved in the house tour had to leave. We all went out, put trash cans out so that she could come back.
Because people were blocking the driveways as
They
well.
blocked, they just.
There are no
take over.
driveways on Queen
There are no driveways except into the Imperial Hotel.
This is the
There
block
are two other, but
between,
they're
No.
private driveways.
I'll have to go check it out.
yeah.
I wish somebody would just walk down the street and look during these festivals at the amount of traffic that we have.
Is it, I just want specifics so I know what to address.
It's the
Is it
amount of
every
traffic
festival or is
Taking
it,
taking over our parking spaces.
like, do you envision having the same problem at Downriggin, for
Oh
example?
my God, yes.
Why?
Because there's no place else for people to park. They want to come downtown, right?
Right.
So where are they going to go? They're going to come to Queen Street, they're going to go to Water Street.
Well, I think they're gonna fill the first parking spot they
They're
said.
going to
It's on
come
Queen
down
Street,
and
they're gonna
turn
park
left,
there.
because they can't turn left on Water Street. They're going to come down our street, and they're going to park. And it got to the point where I had ordered crabs that day, and I was going to go pick up my crabs come hell or high water. I put a trash can there. I came home, put my flashers on, a turn signal on, and another person pulled right up on my bumper. And I thought, this is going to be fun, because I'm not moving.
So we have the police chief here, why don't we?
I don't want the police to have to come down and pay the police to police Queen Street. I want the festival people to come up with a plan before you give them permits, or have the town come up with a plan. Either you block the street off like you do for the festival over Memorial Day weekend,
It's a tea party.
That's the Tea Party.
The Tea Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or come up with some other plan, because it's getting to the point where it's getting extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
I had another suggestion too, which I forgot, because of events that happen downtown to close the streets. I was gonna suggest that if any of these festivals go to the chief for street closures, that they would have had to come to get a permit before they could even talk to anybody about closing any streets. And if I'm not mistaken, I think for the Tea Party Festival, don't we have somebody man the barricade there
I
during
don't
the
know if
day?
they do, but they put a notice in our
Yeah,
mailboxes.
yeah.
And they're the only festival that puts a notice in our mailboxes.
And that's because we have 2 police officers on the committee, and they make sure that they notify every business and every resident that's going to be affected with the festival.
I think one of the problems is we have an increasing number of festivals, and I always protest this, but we have an increasing number of demands to close High Street between Queen and Cross or Spring, or various blocks of that 2-block area. And that leads, as Mary Celeste says, people turn up and down Queen Street. High Street is closed, so they're gonna stay there. And I do think we have to get this under control, and we have to get those permit requests 30 days before so they can be better planned.
I don't think they should be.
It's really hard on the residents in the lower part of the downtown area.
I don't think they should be able to proceed with making arrangements with chief or anybody without first coming to the town for the permit. You know, and
But like, I'll take downrigging as an example, like downrigging really doesn't close any streets other than the foot of High Street and a little bit on the foot of Cannon, but it sounds like it's still.
But they're gonna park, they're gonna come down Queen Street to park. And I understand that, it makes perfect sense.
Right, right.
Well,
But
so we
it
need
puts
fresh
us in a
signs.
terrible position where someone needs to get out.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to think of the best way to help you, whether it's
I
to
don't know
close
the
Queen
answer.
Street only to
I
residents
wish I
only?
could know the answer.
Well, it's already
Let's see what
signed.
Just no parking residents only.
Yeah.
If you
That
want to
doesn't help.
say no through traffic residents.
Well,
only.
unless we go to a parking permit system,
No,
which we talked about
do
many
the,
times.
for the Tea Party Festival, we barricade
They barricaded.
I know,
Queen Street and Water
but
Street.
they don't for any other festival, and I'm not sure
And-
that's a good idea for multiple times a year either.
I'm not sure, some of my friends would probably complain about that also.
Because I remember when I lived down there, every Friday night before Tea Party, we moved our car to
Oh, yeah.
the municipal parking, so in case we needed it for an emergency, we could get out. You literally can't get out during
You can't
Tea Party.
It's not that we can't get out, if we do, we can't get back in.
Yeah,
Because there's no place for us to park.
right.
And there are some times when there are some people who have family there who are not able to do a lot of walking, who need to be able to park into their family members' neighborhood, and they can't.
So again, just to sort of focus in, the big weekends where this is the most problematic are Tea Party.
Any festival that the town gets a permit for. It's not just Tea Party seems to work really well because they block the streets.
Right.
Downrigging is a big problem because so many people come to that. The HB, which was phenomenal for children, that was a terrible problem. And I understand we're having something in December.
Yeah, I was going to say, that'll be our next test
Yeah,
test
I mean-
case. So I'll come talk to you, because
Okay,
we are going to be
thank you.
closing High Street on Saturday, and then we're going to be closing it just a couple hours for the road race in the morning. So it's going to be small.
And you're coming for the permit 30 days before, right?
We're going to do our best. Chief and I have been working on this.
I know, but
I
still.
live in town, and I don't have to pay
unless
for it
they
as a
have a
resident. To me, the festival people should have to take
They
that
go to the
money off
chief,
the top
but
of
they have
their,
no reason to
whatever
go.
money they make,
Just block-
to pay
close
for
the
all of
street.
this.
They don't close
Or
the
whatever, if you
streets.
need more policemen to come and work who shouldn't be working,
Then we
or
have to pay
whatever
more
you need to
overtime
do.
to pay.
But it's time for the town to think about the residents who live in town, not just the people who come to the festivals. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes.
So my question is like, is there any way to redirect the traffic to the campus faculty lot? Like there's huge vacancies on the weekends. Teachers aren't on campus, students leave campus, they don't stay here sometimes on the weekends. So then, I don't know if that's like overstepping my bounds because I'm a student and like I'm offering a whole lot of Washington.
Great idea.
But I
great
mean,
idea.
we're right there and it's free parking and it's
Wait a minute,
space, it's open.
I think the challenge
If
is,
we used it.
because Sultana's thought about having a shuttle and having like parking over at the Dixon Field, but
It's too far.
I'm sorry, but for like John Q. Public, it's too far. They're gonna go like magnets to as close as they can get.
Yep.
And start just pulling over. And that's just human nature.
It seems like it's not that big of a challenge to block, to let everybody know you cannot park on this street, it's for residents only, and we'll tell you if you park in the resident spot. We'll tell
How do
you.
you
get a food
identify
truck
the
in
cars?
there.
Residents are allowed to
We
have
don't have
guests?
stickers. so-
Maybe we
Yeah.
give the residents a thing to put on their dashboard for the festival.
Or just for the festival, that's another
That would
idea.
be nice, we've been asking for that. for
During
20
Tea
years.
Party, they park as far as the middle
Yeah, it's
school.
too, you know, however-
We've tried it,
Be a
we've
great
tried a
idea,
lot,
thank you.
we've tried a lot of that.
Who doesn't like that?
No, I don't care, it hasn't worked it so well in other blocks.
I know.
Because who gets punished is the person who has someone come clean their house and that they get the $25 fine or whatever, because they don't have that second family sticker.
Yeah, my.
I like
all
your
my
idea, Mary Celeste, I like your idea.
Their car temporarily, I don't care.
I
I
like-
move my car when my family comes to.
I like your idea, if we know a block would rather have the block closed off where they can get in and out than not, then that's what I think the chief should look
You
at
try
every
it.
time. We're gonna give these people a break, we're gonna close this off, it's not for parking for this event. And the event lets everybody know these 2 blocks aren't for parking. You go
So-
in here, and if you're gonna have remote parking, you tell people where it's gonna be.
And really, that block of Queen Street's the only one you'd have to block, because you can't turn left off of 213 onto Water, And if High Street's closed, if they come down Queen Street, they can't get anywhere.
They go
So-
against the grain
We're
one
the only
way.
one that really gets it.
Yeah, you are. I just realized that. And so you might have to, whip out your driver's license and show that you live on that block. But I don't think that's too
Some
difficult.
plan someone could think of, please. I don't mind talking to people about it. My neighbors don't mind trying to come up with a plan. But I think they'll reach the point after the HP day. It was like World War III out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll brainstorm that a little bit. Anybody else?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Of the police chief, I was looking real quickly through this and I saw, to me, it was an alarming number of overdoses that month for September, and I know we had 3 of them in a span of 5 days. And I noticed there were 3 unattended deaths, and I didn't know if any of those deaths were drug-related.
No.
Okay. To the 3 overdoses in a month, is that, did that raise red flags for you?
Yes, I would say that was alarming and unusual. And like you said, it wasn't really a month, it was, I think it was 5 days.
Yeah. And they were in sort of public places, I mean,
A very public place.
McDonald's parking lot,
Yeah, business parking lot.
Lou's Dairy, and near the library.
Right.
So,
The indecent exposure happened where?
I don't recall, I believe it was at the Fountain Park, and that was a habitual offender of many civic ordinances.
At nighttime or in the daytime?
As I recall, I think that was in the morning. Public urination.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
From the Boy Scouts are here.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Just hanging out?
They're doing civic involvement.
They're undercover. You can't ask them what they're doing.
Camouflage.
They're on a secret Eagle Scout.
They're working on
I
a,
just wanted to remind everybody, speaking of street closing, we're having the very last of the season, the last of the Cars on High will be this Thursday, from 6 to like 7:30, because it's starting to get dark so early, so it'll be a short one, but anybody who, it's really fun, I'm not a car person, and it's really fun hanging out with these car people.
Cool.
And it's just gonna be in that one block of High Street next to Fountain Park.
Okay,
Or either one of you an Eagle Scout?
No, sir, not yet.
Oh, okay.
they're working on it, Mark.
I thought maybe if you wanted to go into politics, all those really successful
Their
politicians.
government does.
yeah, sure.
Okay. I think that's it from the audience this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn the
So
meeting?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Any opposed?
Started this.
We unanimously are adjourned.
I thought it was a church. I'm losing it.
Come on, if I take
I'm used to Nexus kicking in.
They'll tell you.
As you say, it's like, are we Episcopalians, if anybody says, the Lord be with you, everybody says, and also with you.
We got let's go. It's not necessarily there's sure opinions on it. Someone's gonna get hurt.
Well,
We have our granddaughter and great grandson.
you, I'm sure, played in more dangerous places growing up as a kid. So, and you turned out just fine, right?
Misplaced bars that.
My brother and I used to go over and climb up a fire tower.
Is it taking
On the
shape?
outside
Down
of
for a couple
We
of
got a
weeks?
bunch of rebar in there.
And you turned out just
They've got
fine.
the special
But they
stamp
didn't want us there.
going on
There was a
there.
sign
How
that
can you,
no
Don't do it.
trespass.
Right.
What I'm saying is I'm trying to save a services.
Yeah.
They have a pump, they set up a
Is it like a
dam,
dry dock?
And we,
pump out the ramp area.
when I was a kid,
Temporarily.
everybody would sue everybody.
Steel cabins going across it and down it, like an erector
I gotta
set.
go.
And that thing gets
Wasn't
pulled
enough
by
lawyers.
12 inches or more.
Now we have too many of them.
Oh, my God.
Towards the bottom of the basement.
How are you? I've been spending a lot of time at your
Go back
place.
fast and let it go. It's supposed to be, it's like 5 feet deep off the
I
bar.
was there for
Is the mayor gonna be the
3 or
first one
4
to
meals
walk out?
last week, doing different
I think you should have a ceremonial first one.
We go there sometimes Thursday night after lunch.
Doing Jay's for
$2 for half.
Can you, can we put a ribbon across until Chris gets down
Yeah,
there?
no, I-
Break it with backing his truck
I didn't get my.
instead of cutting it with those stupid
Doing
scissors.
the trip, I didn't, Scott,
like a reverse marathon where the guy breaks through the ribbon?
We gotta get this rolling.
They do dual tickets.
Oh, we sent him a check.
We're doing all right.
Sent him a check. With everything.
Better than a lot of places.
He's got friends that have places in France, right on the damn coast.
Liz, nobody would miss that. If you leave that rope up there, they'll never know.